Hi everyone, this is RAINEY from Oh So Simply, and today I'm super excited because I'm actually interviewing my favorite person. Well, don't tell my husband that. One of my favorite people, my little cousin Kenya. She is a nanny and she's amazing, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kenya.
So today I brought Kenya on because I wanted to talk about COVID, and I'm actually right now only working with one client, and I'm working pretty infrequently, and I'm not actually nannying for them. I'm playing a house manager role, which does include having the kids, so technically I'm nannying, but I'm not full-time with kids. I'm more focused on meal prep because the mom is home at the same time as me, and I'm more focused on meal prep and cleaning house and everything like that. So I wanted to talk to a nanny who's active in the field and talk about COVID and how that's going for her and just the nanny community as a whole. So first, a lot of people are having questions about COVID and how to set boundaries with COVID with the families that you're working with. Without being pushy, but also like super important because it's health related, you know? So Kenya, how have you been able to deal with COVID? Like, how have you set boundaries with your family?
I make sure to, on the interview and super early on, ask the family what they're doing and let them know what I'm doing to kind of set an expectation of how I'm not seeing too many people, wearing my mask out in public and only going out when I need to, and asking kind of what they're doing and how they'd like me to handle it with their kids.
That sounds, I mean, that's all good. Like, definitely still respecting what's going on in your part of the world, because we're still here in Pacific Northwest in Washington. Kenya actually lives like 5 seconds from me. So our situation is still on lockdown. We're still required to wear masks by law. So that being said, do you have them wear masks, or like how is social distance going between you and the little ones?
Me and the kids don't social distance. Me and the parents don't get super close, but because they're very little, I have to be close to them to take care of them. They're very little, so they're not going to want to wear masks for the 4 hours I'm watching them. But because of that, I make sure to keep my circles smaller and hope the parents are doing the same.
Yeah, so I've heard that a lot, like nannies are being asked by parents, like outright being asked by parents, and if you're one of these nannies that's experiencing this, go ahead and like this video and possibly share it with the family, but being asked by parents to have smaller circles, which I think is super important to respect. It's the safety of everyone, and I think similarly you can feel free as a nanny to ask the parents to also have a small circle, because if their circle is big but your circle is small, like that's not helping you, you know? I think, Kenya, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a pretty good working relationship with your nanny family. Like, you guys have good mutual respect and everything?
For sure, yeah. We definitely have really good communication, and I think our boundaries are really clear.
For those of you who don't have super great boundaries with your nanny family, first of all, have a trial period. A long trial period. Like, there is no such thing as a too long trial period, honestly, because usually you're making the same amount of money, so if your trial period can be as long as possible, make it so, because then you'll really see if this is a good job for you before you're stuck in it forever. And then also setting boundaries super early on, like setting boundaries in the interview initially, making sure that you're on the same page is super important. And so Kenya, when she started working with this family, of course she told me, so we were kind of on top of it with her contract and everything, and so that was really important, and so now they have a really great relationship. But if you didn't start that way, it's okay to start now. Start being good communicators now. Start setting up systems that'll help you guys have a respectful back and forth relationship. Start setting those up now, and over time your relationship with them will improve. Kenya, I was going to ask you, you were telling me a little bit about an experience with one of your friends that she had like a bad experience with COVID and a nanny family. Can you talk about that?
Her mom boss let her know that the kids were sick, and she told the mom that she didn't feel comfortable coming in with COVID and everything. She wanted to take it off until either the kids got tested and they knew that it wasn't COVID, or until the kids felt better. And the mom did not have that. She was not happy with it and pressured her into coming in, and then she got sick.
That's not okay. Is she doing better now though?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, that's good. You guys, that's horrible. Let's be real, that's horrible. First of all, I know a lot of you guys out there are nanny, a lot of my audience anyways, so maybe if you're new to the channel, hi, feel free to subscribe. But if you're not new to the channel, then you're probably younger. A lot of my followers are younger. And sometimes I notice that you guys will ask me questions like, how do I stand up to them and still show respect? Because you're younger and so you feel like you have to show more respect because of the age difference, which is really sweet. But as a nanny, you need to be confident, and it's okay to be confident. It's okay to be your own advocate because you are your own HR. You're your own human resources. There's not a company to back you for this, unless you're with an agency, which praise be you and you have it easy, or at least easier. But you need to be okay standing up because, like in that case with Kenya's friend, for her to say I'm not comfortable with that and then to feel pressure and then feel guilt, she shouldn't have felt that guilt. She shouldn't have had that pressure. So, you know, since she did, she kind of buckled under it, which is understandable, trying to be forgiving and a team player. And at the same time, it's okay to say no to things when you feel uncomfortable about them, because in that case, she got sick. That's not okay. So it is good to put yourself first in that situation. Also, quickly, I was gonna make a whole nother video about it, and I might still, I'm gonna fill it out, but kind of the same idea, along the same lines as setting boundaries with your nanny family for COVID, include setting boundaries with your nanny family for politics and religion. Kind of the differing worldviews with the elections just recently wrapping up, kind of still wrapping up right now. Everyone is a little tense and has opinions about things for sure. And so as a nanny, it's important that you set certain boundaries so that if you and your nanny family have differing worldviews, life still goes on and you still are okay and you still work well and support your children together. Back to Kenya, I feel like I'm a newscaster, it's hilarious. Anyways, so Kenya, how did you talk about politics and religion with your nanny family? Like, what did that look like for you?
So in the interview, I let them know, since, you know, everything was coming up, that nannying is my profession, so I want it to remain professional, and I would prefer not to talk about politics or religion or anything like that, just to keep it neutral and everything.
That is perfect. That is exactly what RAINEY wants to hear. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so proud. She's grown up. But seriously, in all seriousness, it is super important to be upfront, and like Kenya's saying, you know, it's professional. This is a professional setting. Now, what I will say is things get a little sticky as a nanny because you are a heavy influencer on their children. So just as you would want the parents to respect you and not talk about politics and religion with you, you also have to be careful with not talking about those things with the kids unless you've stated that up front. So for example, I happen to know that Kenya and her family that she's working with right now do not have the same religion, and so they celebrate different holidays. How do you go about that with your family? Like, if the kid asks you a question about it, or if the parents ask you to do an activity that you're not comfortable with, kind of what would you say?
I would probably just let I'd just let them know, no, I'm not comfortable doing this, and offer another suggestion that would be fun for the kids, maybe that's weather themed instead, or like fall themed or something like that. And to the kids, I'd probably just smile and nod and let them know that I don't want to talk about that, depending on the age.
Yeah, so that sounds good. I love the alternate activity idea. If ever you're faced with a situation where you and the family have differing opinions about something, always just saying, no, I'm not comfortable with this, and offering an alternative really helps ease the blow of not wanting to do whatever you're uncomfortable doing. And as far as telling the kids, so communicating with the kids is a little awkward sometimes. It does really depend on the age of the kid, but a lot of times having a conversation up front in the interview with the families, letting them know that if the kid ever asks me about my opinions about these things, what would you like my response to be? Would you like me to just communicate with them, or would you prefer me direct them to you? Because that just clears everything up right there. And you know, then at that point, depending on the age, you can explain in depth or not, your choice, kind of what you feel or whatever they're asking you about. So for example, if, you know, a kid says, hey, my mommy and daddy are voting for so-and-so, and they say, well, who are you voting for? at that point, depending on what you've said early on in your contract and in your interview, you could either say, you should talk to your mommy and daddy about that. Thanks for telling me. That's cool to know. Like, you don't even have to have any opinion on what they just said. You can simply state that, like, thanks for telling me. That's really cool that you know that. Because usually kids are just saying something like that. Like, that's obviously in my theoretical, hypothetical, that's coming from a younger kid, and they just want to, like, try to engage with you, and they're excited and they know this piece of information, so they're sharing it to look smart. So then that's something where you could just say, you know, that's really cool, thanks for telling me. And they usually won't persist, and that would be when you were deflecting. But if you were allowed to say your view, you could say, oh cool, I'm voting for so-and-so. And it's okay to be different, you know, and you can just leave it at that. If it's an older kid and they ask you more questions like, well, why are you voting for so-and-so? Well, then you can tell them your opinion. Just make sure to be super respectful and don't make their parents look like the bad guy or make their parents look wrong. But it is important to have the conversation up front with the parents of whether or not you're going to be the one to explain the differences and what they are and why you have them, or if they're going to do that. So it's important to separate out that responsibility in the beginning. Otherwise, I just wanted you guys to meet my adorable little cousin, Kenya. So, Kenya, we were talking earlier about how you and your nanny family have a really good relationship, which is awesome. But I know that you, like me, are on all those nanny Reddits out there, and we've kind of been talking about how, like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you always feel super bad for the nanny and super bad for the family because it's just like a lot of awkward stuff happening that people write about on there. So what do you usually respond to? Like, if you could give one piece of advice to a nanny about setting boundaries or about being respectful when you guys have differing views or opinions with your nanny family, what's the one piece of advice you'd give nannies?
For nannies that didn't get to do all of that in their contract or in their interview, I always recommend asking the parents, or if you're the parent, asking the nanny to have a 3-month review or 6-month review, or however long the nanny has been working, sitting down for maybe a half hour after, planning out a half hour after the nanny gets off, and going over what we love the nanny is doing or what we love our nanny family is doing, and then maybe things we kind of want to see change, and just letting each other know what's great, what's bad, what boundaries there are that need to be set or changed, and then maybe planning another review to talk it out again and make sure needs are being met and everything like that.
No, that sounds good. Kind of going along with that, first of all, if you don't have a nanny contract, I do. It's free. Sign up for my newsletter in my blog or on my website, ohsosimply.com. Sign up for the newsletter and you can have the contract for free. It's not hard to fill out. Just ask Kenya. If you don't have a contract, you need to get one. Second of all, if you do have a contract and that clause isn't in there, when you do ask for a review, take the time to review your contract. Contracts can be amended. You can decide with the family together to change the contract and just need both sets of initials next to the amendment, or you can draft up a whole new one and sign a new one. But contracts can be amended. So if it's not in your contract, get it in your contract. And if you don't have a contract on this review, bring it up and say, hey, so we were able to resolve this time. I love this review. Can we have more of them? Can we schedule them out so that I know when they're coming and you know when they're coming, and we can make little notes to ourselves about what we're going to talk about when they come up, and all of that. That can be put in the contract, so then you can bring up the option of having a contract, which I strongly suggest that you strongly suggest having a contract, because it'll save you in the end. So I hope this video helped everyone figuring out their worldviews and their feelings and situations on everything. If you are new, like I said before, feel free to subscribe or follow and like. And if you think my little cousin's adorable, feel free to like. Also, if you're a nanny and you have any questions or concerns, or you have a little soapbox and a rant of your own, feel free to contact me, because I would love to have you on here. I am doing some video interviews with some different nannies, and I'm super excited about that. So feel free to contact me about that. And if you are... No, that's it. So I hope you guys are all staying warm and cozy and, of course, safe during COVID. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to comment below. Love you guys. Bye.